Good morning, guys. Today I want to talk about a project that someone asked me a question. That was Miss Vaughn, and she had asked me about making a cover for her bush pot. I've got a Pathfinder bush pot that you've seen in several of my videos, and how to go about making a cover for it, a bag for it like this. So here's a down and dirty way to do it. Now, let's start with a simple concept. You can use whatever material you want to use. You could use leather, you could use canvas, you could use whatever is available. Mine right here is actually an old duffel bag, U.S. Army duffel bag, which is really good canvas that I picked up at a surplus place for dirt cheap, and because it had a big hole in it. Well, I just salvaged the canvas around it. Now, mine has a leather bottom in it because I have a scrap piece of leather. Then it has the actual body, and I've got grommets and a shock cord on it. We're going to get to that in a second. So, how do you go about creating a pattern to make this? Okay? Well, the first thing you want to do is use the bottom of your pot, or in this case the grill, because the grill goes over the bottom of the pot, so this is the biggest. So this is going to be my starting measurement right here. Okay? Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take paper first to work out this pattern. And I'm going to sit my pot or my base up there, and I'm going to trace around it, and I'm going to create a circle. Okay? Now, I need to allow for seams, and I need a little bit of room to wiggle in there. So I'm going to put 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch. You decide. I would say about, for my pot, I want a 1/2 inch. But if you want more room to stick spoons and stuff around the pot, you may want to make 3/4 of an inch. So I want to come out from this line, this circle, and come out and make a second line that is 3/4 of an inch bigger all the way around, evenly. Okay? This becomes that bottom right there. Okay, there's the bottom. You can see whenever I take it and I put my pot up there, there's a little bit all the way around it. That was that flat piece of scrap leather I had left. I think this was actually a some sort of bag or something that I'd had that had gone to pieces, and I saved the leather out of it. I like to recycle stuff, repurpose it. So, it's a flat piece. Now, using that flat piece, I want to create the body. Well, taking my pot on a table, I am doubling the height just about of it, because I want the bag to gather at the top. I want room to put stuff into it, plus the act of gathering it's going to need a little space. So I'm going to roughly double it. It's actually like a 1/2 inch short, but double it would be a good. So whatever my pot is, double it in height. Okay, that gives me this length. Because what I'm producing now for my next piece of pattern, I'm creating how tall it is, and that's this measurement. Now I need to know how long it is, and that I get by measuring around the piece of leather that I've created, or the pattern this way. Now, how could I do that easily? Well, I can take my starting point up here. I can lay my pot on it, and I can roll it one complete revolution and then add a little bit. That's one way of doing it. Another way of doing it is simply taking your tape measure. If you have a measuring device, that's the reason I showed you the first way, in case you're doing this in the field and I don't have any measuring device. I have to just do it on the fly. I want to take a piece of string, and go all the way around, just inching it around. Start at a certain starting point and then go all the way around. When you get to the end, add 3/4 of an inch. That will allow for a little over a 1/2 inch inseam, which you're not going to need that much. But trust me, if you're just starting out, err a little bit on the large side, because it's going to suck whenever you put this together and you're all done and the pot won't fit because it's too tight. Err a little bit on the loose side, okay? This is a pot cover, not a pair of jeans to go out on a date with. It's okay to be a little loose, okay? So by doing that, that has given me this length, okay? Which is basically a big rectangle. So that starts at that seam and then it rolls all the way around to that seam again, okay? Now, your top edge up here, if you do not have some sort of finished edge on this end of it. Now what I utilized here, as you can see, there was a seam on that duffel bag and I just cut along the edge of the seam. Well, that left a reinforced finish edge on mine. But if not, just take and add like 1 inch and double the material over and sew it to make a finished edge. Now if I double that top edge that I've made extra long, double it over, and then sew it, I've made a tube, which can be a way of closing the bag, okay? If I do it that way, I can go ahead and run me a piece of paracord inside of it, or thread it through after it's done, and have a cinch cord to pull the top of the bag shut. That's a good way to do it. Since mine was finished edge and not making a tube, I did differently. But this is a completely fair way to do it. By folding the material over and leaving that gap, sew it along the edge and then run you like a thin piece of wire with a string through it. Then tie that to your paracord and pull it through it so that you've got a cord in it, okay? Just like a pair of pajama pants. You cinch it up, it tightens up. Now, how to sew this. Alright, what you're going to do is you're going to start down here on the bottom. And you're going to start at a specific point. Make a mark or whatever. You're going to sew this inside out. That'll be important in just a minute. I'm going to take that edge and I'm going to start sewing. As I do, I rotate and I bring the edge of my side material up flush with the edge of my bottom material and I sew through, okay? Now don't do this, don't whip over, go through, because when this rolls, if you've whipped stitched it, it wants to go loose. I want it tight, so I'm going to go in, out through the side of material like that, okay? I go all the way around. Now when my two ends come back together, I'm going to squeeze them together and I'm going to go this way through my side material, this way. That begins the stitch to go up this seam and sew that. So this is basically one continuous seam that started here, went all the way around, and then went up to the top. Then I do it really good at the top and really good at this point to reinforce it so that it's not going to unravel there. Okay, you with me? That's simply a stitch. Now if you notice on that, and that's a whip stitch, that don't matter on that end. It does on the bottom. Okay, I just go over the top, make a loop, go through, pull over the top, go through, pull over the top on this side material. You don't want to do that on the base, because when we roll it in a second, you'll see why. That wouldn't work good on the base. It was fine on the side. Now, we've got our bag complete. Turn it inside out. Push, squeeze, and pull through. Now what that's going to give you, instead of a raw seam, now it's going to give you a finished seam on the outside, see? Nice and smooth looking. I put it rough side leather out and smooth side in, but you could do either one. Now, for my closure, since I did not have a rolled edge, what I did was Oh, by the way, when you get to this point, try it. Put the pot in it and make sure it fits. Don't go any further if it don't fit, okay? I've told you to leave quite a bit extra all the way around now, so it should fit easily and have enough room around it to stick spoons or little whatever around it. Little, you know, think flask of oil, whatever. You want this bag to be kind of loose because you don't have to wrestle it in and out of the pot. Okay. Now, and that was the problem with my old bag that I used to have. It was too tight. It was actually a pair of pants from a dress pair of pants that I'd worn my job that had got ruined. So I just cut the pants leg off and sewed one end closed and made a make-do pot cover. And I used it for a couple of years, but you know, it was time for something new. Alright, now, you see how much space is left in that pot. But when I gather it up, that's the reason you make that thing double the height. See? Now for me, what I decided to do with this, since I had this finished edge, was I put grommets, 4 grommets. I just sat it up there and eyeballed it, put a mark, I cut a little hole, put the grommet through, put it into the little tool, hammered it so that it flares out and it makes a grommet, just like a tarp grommet. Now, to lace this to pull, here's what I did. I'll start with that edge for you, okay? I take my paracord, I go in to the inside, I come back out to the outside, I loop around behind, I then go back in to the inside, back out to the outside, and that's where I put me a cinch lock. Now what happens is when I pull it, I take this front edge, I simply push it inward like that, and I pull. That will gather it all up very nicely for the top of the bag, just like that. So my bag is completely captured, nothing's going to fall out of it easy, and I've got a cord I can hang. And those can be secured to the pack, right in the pack, hang it up in camp, whatever, by having that piece of cord with a cinch lock. Now, I save cinch locks. When I'm throwing away a piece of gear or something that's got a cinch lock on it, I always cut the cinch lock off, just for this. I've got a little box of them. But it makes it a quick and easy open, quick and easy use. And just by pulling it like that, it's all secured and ready to go. So, for Miss Vaughn, I hope this little tutorial helps you. All you're going to do is start with the size of your pot. If the stove goes on it, use the stove because it's bigger. Okay? You want to create the base, add 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch, create how tall it is, which is double the height of the pot, how long it is, go all the way around, plus a little bit. Make it like a 1/4 inch longer, to make it a 1/2 inch longer, so you got a seam you can squeeze together right there to sew. Okay? So it's across the bottom and up. Sew around the bottom and then up that side. And there is your pot bag. Very simple, very easy to do. It's a good sewing project to learn. It can be intimidating sometimes when you're trying to create something for a piece of gear and you've got a finite resource. I want to use this really cool piece of leather or this whatever to make that bag. Well, always start with a paper pattern then. I take that paper pattern, I make it out. I'll take some thin cardboard and actually cut it out, take some tape and tape it together and see if the pot fits in it. If it doesn't, I know my pattern's wrong. Then I'll make my pattern. If I'm really just not sure, take an old bed sheet or something and make the first one. See if it fits. See if it does what I got too much seam here. I can shorten that up. It's a little too tall. I can shorten it down and modify till you have your final pattern. Use that to cut out your material that you're really wanting to use, like in this case leather and good canvas. So I hope this helped, guys, and I hope this gives you some ideas. Please leave any questions or comments below. Until next time, I'm Blackie for Shaman's Forge, wishing you safe journeys. Have a great day, guys.